You are listening to the Manumit Podcast. My name is Casey, and I'm here with my buddy Glenn Johnson, investment advisor and founder of Jabez Financial right here in the Uncasville area. Glenn, purpose gives us that direction, but we are actually still the ones that still have to take the action to make it happen, which makes me think of this bit from comedian Brad Upton I heard this week. He gives us a great example. Let's take a listen.
And who put in all these traffic circles and didn't tell anybody how they work? That circle doesn't have to be empty for you to enter it. There just has to be enough room for you to fit. Pick out a hole and hit that thing like an NFL running back. If you've ever driven up to a traffic circle and stopped, I want you to go home tonight, lay down your keys, and never ever pick them up ever again.
So I heard this bit this week, Glenn, and I feel like there are a lot of parallels to retirement. So I'm wondering how often you see people that are just circling around retirement planning. They're waiting, they're hesitating, they're not making any moves instead of actually grabbing the bull by the horn, so to say, getting a plan in place for their retirement. How often are you seeing that?
You know, interestingly enough, by the time I meet them, they're just past that point because they decided to give us a call and come in for a conversation.
Yeah.
But, you know, however, I think some people put off serious financial planning for any number of reasons. Like, one, they just don't like the topic of money. So why would they voluntarily pay extra attention to it? You know, but the fact is, the more time that goes by without paying attention to it, the more money ends up being a dominating thought in the future. Mm-hmm. Now, see, there's a big difference between you initiating planning versus waiting and then becoming financially overwhelmed later and then being forced into it.
Yeah. Okay. So in a lot of cases, avoiding that conversation today can actually create more stress, more uncertainty down the road. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's interesting. Like they say, delayed obedience is disobedience. You know, when we delay doing what's important, it only makes things worse. You know, and that's why. So, like for example, and here's another reason. You know, some people they don't get into putting any kind of financial plan together because they just don't think they have enough money to work with. Yeah. So they just wait. And you know, maybe that's true. But so what? You know, if you want to get ahead financially quicker, having a plan can make all the difference.
Right. It's interesting because I imagine a lot of people think they need to have a certain amount in the bank before it's even worth making a plan or worth meeting with somebody. But in a lot of cases, they already have enough, right?
That's right. And you know, you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So I remember when I was a teenager, I wanted to buy a house. So I went I'm like, well, I guess I got to go to the bank to see what I can get for a loan. So I went to. You
were going to buy a house as a teenager?
I wanted to find out. So yeah,
okay.
Right.
All right. I like it. I like the optimism, Glenn.
Right. Well, no, I wasn't a teenager. I was 20. That's right. I was 20.
Okay.
And I asked the bank, they asked me what I made. I showed them. They told me what I qualified for. And I looked at that. I'm like, I can't even buy a new car for that. Mm-hmm. Right? And so they took the paperwork. I remember the woman at the desk, she slid it back over to me. I said, well, what do I need to do? She pushed my paperwork back to me and she said, make more money. Now, it was a punch in the stomach.
Yeah.
But you know what? I tripled my income and I went back and then I bought a house.
There you go.
And by the time I was 23 years old, I had my house and I was supporting a family of 5 on my own. But I took the punch in the stomach because at least I found out the truth. Mm-hmm. You know, and so then there's here's another reason why people don't necessarily initiate getting a plan right away. Okay. And that's because cash flow is good. You know, things are good. They've got money in the bank. All the bills are paid. You know, maybe they have no debt or except for maybe a mortgage payment. So why bother? Life is good, right? So, and this can be a real hang up. The biggest enemy of great is good. And we see it all the time, how complacency can steal a lot of dreams because we're just too comfortable. Mm-hmm. And this is also where people can get financially blindsided because especially at a time in life when there's a lot at stake.
Yeah.
See, and this is where I say you don't want to make the mistake. Don't make the mistake of thinking that your current financial comfort is going to necessarily lead to financial security later.
Comfort can sometimes create a false sense of security for us, right? Things look fine today while risks are just quietly building there in the background.
And that's why having a conversation and a relationship with somebody that can see the potholes before you do, that's what makes having a relationship with a financial advisor can be such a huge benefit. Because we can at least be informed. Like if the bridge is out up ahead, I would at least want someone to let me know, so I can make an adjustment.
Right.
Now, there's another reason people put planning off, and this one's kind of upsetting, actually. And that's because they did it before and had a horrible experience with an advisor, and then they ended up just saying to themselves, "I'll never do that again." It's funny. It's almost like if people go through a bad marriage and that comes to an end, they say, "Oh, I'll never do that again." Well, you know what? We've all had bad relationships. We've all had things go south.
Mm-hmm.
But as for me, I'm not going to allow a past trauma or a past adversity rob me of a future blessing. I don't want to let those hardships in the past change who I am, so I don't permit a new good relationship to come into my life.
Yeah.
So now we look at it financially. Let's say you had an experience with an advisor, and then you found out how much fees you were really paying, and you kind of felt like, well, I got a fast one pulled over on me there, or maybe you got persuaded into an investment that it just really wasn't suitable for you, and you didn't find that out until later. Or maybe you just feel like another number. Maybe you just felt like in the past you've worked with such a big company or a big corporation that they just handed you off to somebody else to work with, and you just felt disconnected. Like you could feel disconnected or maybe out of touch with the advisor.
Yeah,
and it's got to be more than just about the money.
Yeah.
There's got to be a good relationship in place.
For sure. And unfortunately, one bad experience can keep somebody from getting the help that they need. Even when one good experience is just, the next advisor down the line, a good plan could make a tremendous difference for them, but they were so turned off by their experience before.
That's right. And so obviously we don't want to be naive in thinking bad things can't happen in the future. But if we learn from the past experience and say, you know what, at least now I know what to look out for. And so I know what I will do differently next time. I'm going to ask, how much am I really paying for this? How is this really suitable for me? I want to, and go about it in such a way where you really want to understand why you're getting the recommendations you're getting. And that's why I'll tell you, that's why it's so important to me that my clients thoroughly understand not just what they have, but why they have it, so that they never end up with buyer's remorse, and they can feel confident in knowing that the advice that they're getting is a perfect fit. And see, there's a million and one reasons why people don't proactively get a financial plan put together. And a lot of the time, sometimes there's just too much going on in life. So constructing a financial plan, it's just got to get put on the back burner. There's too much in life. Life is too busy. And with all the arguably justifiably good reasons to put it off for now, there only needs to be one good reason to get it done. So that's why I ask you. So why would you want to have your Manumit success plan in place? Is it properly caring for your family? Is it perhaps retiring sooner rather than later? Or is it simply having some more financial peace of mind? See, when it's the right thing to do and we were able to identify it, most people move forward when they feel safe. They maybe they're ready to put a financial plan together, but they're not ready to assume some kind of risk. And that's why I say just come in for a conversation where there is no pressure or obligation. It's just an introduction. And so whatever thought that you may have had that's kind of holding you back, if you just want to remind yourself of your why. What is it that would motivate you to actually plan out a better future? What keeps you moving day to day? So that's why I invite you to give us a call to come in and get your Manumit success plan, because your future self will thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Manumit Podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts so that you never miss an episode, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Investment advisory services offered through Jabez Financial, LLC, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement by securities regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Glenn Johnson, Connecticut Insurance, license number 4628409. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Jabez Financial, LLC. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Jabez Financial, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Jabez Financial, LLC is licensed in your state, please call 860-390-0093.